Mm. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Uh, from the next session, we will not go shloka by shloka. We will go by shloka, not get into me trying to explain each of the shlokas. What we will do is, as homework, we will set out a set number, say possibly 22 to 27, aisa kuch bhi. We will set out some number and we will all learn, study, do manan, come here and do a discussion on that. See, I'll tell you why I'm doing this. When we do the shlokas today, you will realize that the entire structure is meant for a discussion platform. It's beautifully arranged for a discussion platform. So this next set of shlokas that we are going to take up right now, we will see that basically he is talking of how we are going to be able to move forward in this entire journey. Where did we stop last time? Did we stop at 15 or did we stop at 14?
I think it was 14.
14, right?
Sir, 14 complete हुआ था, 15 मनन के लिए दिया.
Okay, so what is your manan? Any idea, any thought? $15 का मनन का कोई thoughts? एतद् योर्यदुपादाने पादानमेकं सूक्ष्मं सदव्ययम् यथैव मृद्धटादीनां विचारसोऽयमीदृशः. So here, any thoughts, please?
He's taking an analogy of the clay and the mud pot. Basically, the clay being the cause for the mud pot. So the same way the Supreme Self is the material cause of both ignorance and desire. Yes, sir, you're breaking up a lot. You have frozen now.
It is.
Sir, you're frozen. We cannot hear you. Meenaji, can you hear, sir?
Yeah, now I think my internet was causing a bit of problem. I think it's okay. Right.
It's okay.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are. I wanted to just point out this thing about reading the verses first and then discussing in the class.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen, this, the Khan Academy?
Yes.
So in Khan Academy, when he does the TED Talk where he is introduced by Bill Gates, and he talks about flipping the classroom. So he says, we have all these things online. The idea is, and there are some school districts in the US that have adopted it, is that the entire lessons are done online by the children at home. They come to the class to do problems and all based on those lessons. And the teacher is just going through with each child to understand exactly how much it has understood, and that the training becomes very targeted to the gaps in the understanding. So it's called flipping the classroom. you flip it. You don't have. So, yeah, this is supposed to work very well, actually. It's a great way of.
So true. I mean, even when we are, I do corporate training. I typically, for every class, I say that if you are coming to this class for knowledge, then don't come. Because today knowledge is available. Earlier knowledge was at a premium. Knowledge के लिए आपको जाना पड़ता था. Knowledge के लिए library जाओ. Knowledge के लिए knowledgeable person के पास जाओ. Today you don't have to go there. You have, I mean, I was doing an assessment program for somebody. It used to take days for us to create what is called an in-tray exercise. I don't know if you have ever experienced one. In-tray, you know, your in-tray, out-tray.
Okay.
So when you come to office, you have an in-tray which is overflowing. One of the exercises to do as a assessment for the psychometric profiling, you give an in-tray which is overfull. So you give him, your in-tray is full of so many material. How do you address it? And you have got only a limited period of time. Now to create that in-tray would take us days. I just did that for one of my clients in 6 minutes. Because I just asked ChatGPT, help me create an in-tray for a senior executive in production for a steel manufacturing company. And the in-tray was ready. So knowledge is no longer a premium. Same way here also, today, when Acharya was there, when Acharya was teaching, so printing wasn't there. So people had to write with palm leaves, or I don't know what they wrote on. Paper was also, I'm sure, not very easily available. So they would write with a palm leaf, with a pen. They would have to transcribe. We saw that example of Padmapada having written the Bhashya on the Bhashya of Brahma Sutra, and that having got burnt, he could not recreate. It was Acharya's memory that recreated that entire thing. So the dependence was on memory. Today, we do not have to depend on memory at all. So today you have Gurudev's book available on soft copy. You can carry it with you wherever you go. Kitab bhi carry karne ka. I mean, I carry my library wherever I go. This is my library. It has possibly more than 10,000 books today. So all I need to do is that much. So earlier, can you imagine traveling to some place and you're going to take a reference? It was an impossibility. So I think what we need to do today, and even with Aparokshanubhuti, is that we should start working towards seeing whether we can do the manan and have discussions. So here, what you pointed out, Raghuji, is saying that the earth is the material cause of the pot. Correct. But what is the material cause of this universe? And what is the efficient cause? Right? So what is the efficient cause and what is the material cause? Now that is an interesting point of discussion. Material cause, and so we use the word nimitta, right? So nimitta, upadana and nimitta. Which is the nimitta, which is the upadana? What is the material cause, which is the efficient cause? Any thoughts?
Both are Parabrahman.
Correct. That is the interesting part, that both the material cause and the efficient cause, this is, if you go back to Brahma Sutra, we looked at the Lakshana, right? And what did we find? That both the material Lakshana as well as the efficient Lakshana of Brahman are identical. Because Brahman is so indivisible that in itself also, the Lakshanas also become the same. Similarly, it is only one that is the cause. Ekam eva dvitiyam. Ekam eva dvitiyam. Advitiyam. There is no second to it. So hence, if you look at the next few verses, we will go up to 22 if we can today. So if you look at verse number 16. Now, he says, Aham ekopi sukshmascha jnata sakshi sadavyayaha. Tadaham natra sandeho vichara soya midrishaha. I am the one. I am Sukshma. I am the knower. I am the witness. and I am ever existent. Now, just examine this. I am one. Now, when I say that I am one, what does he mean? So he says, this is the vichara that you are supposed to do. That I am one, I am eternal. How on earth can I do that? I know that I am changing all the time. So that body identification that we stick with, which is the changing part, is what causes us to be in ignorance. So here he is moving away from that ignorance and saying, making a declaration that I am the one, I am aham eko, api sukshma, cha jnata, cha sakshi, cha sada avyayaha, always eternal, ever existent. Really, before 19th of December 1961, I did not exist. Even in 19th December 1961, I did not exist because I had no consciousness or awareness of that. I have no memory of that. Right? I don't know if you know of this. Somebody was he was asked in the court. So he said, declare your name. So he said, I am sorry, I cannot declare my name. So what do you mean by cannot declare your name? So I cannot declare because the court cannot accept hearsay evidence. I don't know my name. Somebody told me. So my name is a hearsay evidence. किसी ने बोला आपको कि आप मीना हैं, इसीलिए आप अपने आप को मीना बोलते हैं. What a wonderful, actually this is a lesson for us, isn't it? We were told that you are this, that is why we have become this. And that, interestingly, now, so when did I get into existence?
Yeah.
When did I get into existence? Here is where Acharya breaks our thinking and he says, you were always existing. It's just that you took on a body. You took on a mind. You took on an intellect. To explain this, he goes on in the verse number 17. You look at verse number 17. That actually is an explanation that actually starts giving the questions that we need to think about. Now, this set of 4 or 5 verses, the second line is the same for all of them. Tayorekyam prapashyanti kimajnana matah param. Tayor ekyam prapashyanti. Those who see these two as the same. Kima ajnana matah param. Is there any other ignorance better, more higher than this? This is the refrain of the next 4 or 5 verses. Ye chorus hai. This is what will keep on coming up. The first one he says, Atma vinishkalo eko deho bahu viravritaha. So, the Atman is one. The body is of multiple parts. Now, the body is obviously of multiple parts. We can see that. Hand, leg, eye, nose, etc., etc. The Atman is one. Is there any evidence of that? Can you think of any evidence that Atman is one, the body has multiple parts?
मेरा कल का प्रश्न यही था.
हाँ, पता है मुझे. आपने पूछा था कि आत्मा का निवास कहाँ है? Where does the Atman stay in the body?
मुझे लगता है कि जब सारे शरीर में ही हम ऊर्जा का संचार महसूस करते हैं, तो सारे शरीर में ही होगा.
So therefore it is vyapta. शरीर में it is vyapta. When अंगूठे को दर्द होती है तो हम क्या बोलते हैं? मुझे दर्द हुआ. राइट? मुझे दर्द हुआ. ये मैं कौन है जिसको दर्द हुआ? उसको तो वो अंगूठे को दर्द हुआ. So there is no distinction in you whether it is the head or the angutha. The awareness is there throughout the whole thing that this is me. I'm not talking of the nervous system. The pain is carried by the nervous system. I understand that. I'm talking of the awareness. The awareness that this angutha, this nail, the hair that is being cut, my toe, whatever it is me. There is no distinction in me about that. That is because the Atman or the consciousness is vyapta internally throughout. Now, if it is possible for it to be vyapta internally throughout, then The question that we have to answer is it also possible to be Vyapta in you in the same way? The third question you ask is, then what is Vyapta in you and what is Vyapta in me? Are they also the same? Standard, we have gone through this earlier, right? We have gone through this earlier. This is the Jiva Ishvara Parabrahman process. So when I understand that I am not the body, the Jiva Bhava comes. The Jiva Bhava comes as saying that there is this Jiva which is coexistent from the top to my toe. It is there throughout through me. My next question, is it, so am I aware of every part of my body? Yes, you are aware of every part of your body. If you are presently not aware of some part of the body, take a hammer and hit it. You will become fully aware of it.
Yeah, but see, when I consider my body, I am acutely aware of the different parts of the body. But when I think about Atman, I never ever think of Atman as having different parts. It has never crossed my mind. Actually, this question, this verse is asking me, first time I'm thinking there are different parts to it.
Absolutely true, Raghuji. Absolutely true. So, I mean, that is because perhaps we have grown up that way, where we have not had the identification has been a little shaky, to use the best word, where it has not been 100% zero, but it has been a bit shaky. We at least intellectually understand that something which has multiple parts cannot be the same as something which is a unified whole. So the parts are only a part of that which is possibly the whole, is something that he's asking us to think about. Now, in this same way, he goes on in verse number 18. He says, Atma niyamaka cha antardeho. Atma niyamakashanta. Atma niyamakashantardeho niyamya bahyakaha. Atma is the
Bahyo niyamyakaha.
Deho
Bahyo.
Sorry?
Deho Bahyo.
Bahyo nahi. It says de. Okay,
I've got the thing is open and right here. It says Deho Bahyo Niyamya.
Okay, I am possibly using a different version from Gurudev's book only.
That this is only Bhaiyo.
Okay, let me just
Bahyo.
check.
Yeah, Bahyo.
Just 1 second. Okay, so there are two versions. I just realized that there are both of them are there on my Kindle. So the second one, which is it's a later edition, it basically flips the words around. It says Atma niyamyakashanta deho bahyo niyamyakaha. So which is okay, which is in the earlier one it said deho niyamya bahyakaha, which is basically saying two things. One, Atman is internal and it is the controller. The body is external and it is the controlled. It is the controlled. Now, the moment consciousness leaves the body, when I say consciousness, I am not talking of the physical consciousness as in a coma. I am talking of life as in consciousness. The moment that leaves this, what happens? We call it a body. We do not even call it the name of the person, right? So what is it that makes this move? Gurudev always used to say, what you are seeing is your projection from your senses, governed by your mind, your mental makeup, but all of that is propelled by life force. So with the life force, Manas, with its own predilections of whatever the vasanas it has, it is going to project outside, and therefore that projection, it takes it back, uses the intellect to do discernment and say good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. So it looks at rubbish. looks at that rubbish or that rotting heap of rice. I've told you the story about Yogananda Paramahamsa. So it looks at that rotting heap of rice, and so it says that and says, oh, this is bad. That came from the intellect, which was feedback system, right? The external, when my eyes went out, looked for something, saw it, all of that is being governed by what? It is being governed by the sense of consciousness, by the sense of, by supreme consciousness. So here he says, and where is that consciousness? It is pervading throughout my body at this point of time. He, in this entire text, the Acharya is not, he is going very sequentially. So right now, he's just trying to give us a sense of the fact that my body identification that I am suffering from, whether I like it or not, whether I intellectually understand it or not, I intellectually understand that I am not the body, but do I actually live that? No, I don't. Very clearly, I don't. Right? I mean, the simplest is whenever you go to look for an album or you're looking at a group photograph, your first eye goes to what you are. Right? That is first, your natural instinct. Right? Because you have still identified with that particular the physical being. But we need to understand that the physical being is not you. And that is why Acharya here says that the Atma is the ruler, is the controller. Niyamaka. He is the Atma Niyamaka Shantar Antardeha. It is the Antardeha. Niyamya Bahyako Niyamakaha is the controlled, the external is the body. Now, while the body is external, he is making a very categorical statement that the body is external. We all understand that it is external. We feel it to be external. But the nature of Atman being repeated again and again is what we need to contemplate on. That is the source of contemplation. So again, the next shloka in 19, he says, will you recite 19, Raghuji, if you have it with you?
Atma Jnanamaya Punyo Deho Mam Samayos Shuchihi.
So it is Mamsa Mayo Shuchihi. You have to put a little length over there.
Yeah, Mayo Shuchihi. Tayoraikyam prapashyanti kimagyanamataha param.
So Tayorekya prapashyanti kimagyanamataha param. But Atma Jnanamaya Punya. So here he says two more qualifications of the Atman. It is Jnanamaya and it is Punyaha. So if we look at the Bhagavad Gita, what does the Bhagavad Gita say? There is nothing purer than knowledge. Knowledge is the purest, right? Pavitramiha, he uses the words, right? So there is nothing purer than knowledge. Why? Because knowledge is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Right? Tatyari Upanishad says that. Satyam, which means it exists. Jnanam, it is knowledge. And Anantam, it is endless. Satyam, one of the Vakyas. So very clearly, he gives two more identifications. He says it is Jnana and it is Punya. Whereas, what is this body? The body, Gurudev used to say that your body is full of holes, so it is not holy. So we have 9 holes anyway, but not only that, we have holes all over us, right? All the pores which are secreting sweat and so on and so forth. So itne holes hai, so therefore you are not holy. So I'm always reminded whenever we look at this in terms of description of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa's statement of the bag of shit and mucus and so on and so forth that came in front of him and so on and so forth. So that again here he says it is nothing but it is ashuchi meaning impure, and it is made out of material things such as mamsa mayo. It is made of all types of flesh and bones and whatever else. So this set of verses is basically giving a very clear set of distinctions between what is Atman and what is Anatman in a very drastic way. In the next shloka, he says, Atma Prakashaka.
in the Anatman, he's actually focusing on the body, because the primary attachment or identification is with the body. So he wants to dispel that. He wants to.
Correct. Correct. So he's attacking. It's a literal attack.
Yes. Yes.
It's an attack on the body, on the body identification. So the next one he says, Atma prakashaka swachho deha tamasa uchyate. So the deha, he doesn't even talk about saying whether it is impure or not pure. Swachha, he does not say it is aswachha. That he's already said. But he says tamasa. Tamasa here does not mean in the nature of tamas. Here it is in the sense of jada. It does not have consciousness. See, Advaita and yoga as in Patanjali, they are different in their starting point of approach towards the divine. See, Advaita, rather yoga starts by saying that the body is the tool that I will use to try and jump over. And therefore, I need to tune the body also. So I start with yama, niyama, asana, and so on and so forth. But if you go to the Advaitic schools, you should go to Kumbh Mela and you should see. If you ever go to Kumbh Mela, you will find most of the bunch of sadhus over there don't even take bath. Right? वो नहाते नहीं हैं, किधर भी जाके कुछ भी करके आ जाते हैं, right? And they wear the same clothes for days or days on end. At best, so I was living inside one of those in those camps with one group of sadhus for 21 days or so, and so I told him ki I want to go and take a bath. So he said, okay, come sit here, I'll bathe you. And what he did is he took the ash from the dhuni and he just dumped the whole thing onto me. And he said, now rub this. Your bath is over. Right? Now, the whole Advaitic thinking denies the body. It says, I don't even want to bother about the body. Because the body is so jada, the body is so inert, that if I'm just going to devote time thinking about the body, then I'm wasting my time. Let me straight away jump into the manas. But here, Acharya realizes that while we say that in the Advaitic school, that's not how we behave. Our behavior, however, is with an identification to the body. Hence, in Aparokshanubhuti, and this is perhaps the only place where he attacks the body identification so very, very directly. Right? So here he says, Atma Prakashaka. Prakashaka. It is the illuminator. It is the illuminator, meaning, to use Gurudev's example, electricity and bulb. If you remove the bulb, what happens? The electricity is still there. It has not gone away. It becomes the potential through which everything else can work. So that electricity, purest form, is what the Atman is. How does it manifest? It needs tools to manifest. So these body, mind, intellect are all tools which are using that electricity to manifest itself. Just exactly as a bulb or a refrigerator or your microwave oven or whatever else electrical goods you are using, they are, or this computer, all of these are using electricity. So that is the analogy that we have to look at. And then in verse 21, again, he uses the same sentence. Raghuji, if you can recite.
Okay. Atma nityo hi sadrupo deho nityo hyasamyaya hyasammayah. Okay.
Hyasammayah.
Tayoreikyam prapashyanti kimagyanamata param.
So that's the last line we all know now. Tayoreikyam prapashyanti kimagyanamata param. Atma nityo hi sadrupo. Sat means existing. Atma is the only thing that exists. Sadrupaha. Right? Whereas he says, Deho anityo. Deho nityo. Deho anitya. He asat mayaha. Asat mayaha. He asat mayaha. So Deha is not that which exists in a permanent form. Asat. Asat does not mean false. Asat means it will change. Asat means that it is continuously transient. It is continuously changing. I mean, from the morning when you did your shave to now, you have already changed by having a stubble growing. Right? Meena ji has lost a few hair here and there. I always say ladies are very detached with their body. They leave their hair all over the place. So we have changed, right? That is the rate at which our body is changing. But because we have identified, and why have we identified? You know why? Because that sense of I is there. Because the I know I. And at no point in my life did I not know I. Hence, the whole process of my identification also began from the fact that Atma is not a Nitya, and it was with me all the time. Atma was always Nitya. आत्मा कभी भी अनित्य हुआ ही नहीं है. जिस मोमेंट मेरे अंदर में कॉन्शियसनेस पैदा हुआ उस समय भी मैं अपने आप को पहचानता हूं कि किसी भी अवस्था में, जागृत, स्वसप्त, सुषुप्ति, किसी भी अवस्था से यदि कोई को जगा के उसको पूछा जाए, हे किधर हो तुम? वो इधर हूं, इधर हूं, राइट? So this is like, you know, somebody was asked, are you lost? So he said, no, I'm not lost. I am here. So मैं खोया कहाँ हूं? मैं तो यहाँ हूं. अच्छा, ये कहाँ है? आप यहाँ जो है वो कहाँ है? वो मुझे नहीं पता, मगर मैं यहाँ हूं. I am not lost. Right? My surroundings may be strange to me, but I am not lost. And that is true. That is with us, isn't it? At any point, wherever you are, when you went to the US, when you came back to India, whether you are in Abu Dhabi, wherever you are in the morning on your bed, in the night you have gone to your walk, you have come back in the evening, you are eating dinner. At any point of time, are you saying, I don't exist? Are you even doubting that existence? At no point do you doubt that existence, right? I mean, one of the basic rules of insanity in earlier days, not now, in earlier days was to find out whether that person identified with what he is talking about. And that self-identification, if that body identification was not there, one of the people thought that he was mad. To an extent that Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa was treated for lunacy because people felt he was mad, because he would not identify with the body. So whereas here he says, Atma is Nitya, it is Sat Rupa, Sat. Whereas Deha is Anitya and it is Asat Rupa. But what do? We identify both the Atman with the body because they say, I am this. Ye main hu. Ye jaise hi main apne aap ko ye main hu kehta hu, I have been ajnana. That is the greatest ignorance that you start off. Right? He will move from here to the mind, from here to the intellect, and then he will get into further steps. So right now he has given us steps of vicharaha. So that is what we are going to do from 22 to 30. Verse number 22 to 30. He goes on to describe with the external world. With the external world, how the Atman and the external world. Right now he was with the body. Now he starts off with the external world. In 22, he talks about Agni and so on and so forth. So that is going to be our manan. We will look at 22 to 30 for our next class. पढ़ के आइएगा. श्लोक को recite करना हम लोग कर लेंगे. We will recite the shloka, but we have to do a discussion. We should do a manan. And what I will also try and do is, I will start putting together our discussions in sort of a PowerPoint like we did for Brahma Sutra. So I will try and put it in a PowerPoint so that we can then use it as a summary for revision. So I hope that will work. So what I will do right now is I'll make a small table of qualifications, or rather the identifiers of the Atman, Nitya, Sat, Prakashakaha, etc., etc. Identifiers of the body, all the opposites, right? Versus number this to this, so that we have a table which tells us this block talk to us about that. So like that, I'll put together some stuff, and then I can share that on the group. We can you keep updating that. Okay? Chaliye, let us end for today. शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।